this is one of our strengths, because wherever you want to go, 15 minutes we are there.
Yes.
We are so centrally located that if you just do a round around the study center, you cover almost everything that we offer in Florence.
Yes.
So from restaurants to museums to housing and so on.
We did it! Ciao, Simona!
Hi!
Buonasera to you, actually.
Ciao, buonasera. Welcome to Florence.
Thank you. It feels like we're there. I love it. Simona, I've given a little rundown of who you are, but if you can tell us a little bit about your role as a resident director, your time with AIFS, when you started this role, the longevity, all of it, just take the floor and tell us all about you.
Are you sure you want to know everything? It's a long story.
As much as possible.
Okay, so I started working for AIFS in 1998, so almost a lot of time. Yeah, and I started as a librarian, and then I became the president director of the summer school, and then after that, internship program, volunteer program, service learning program, and a J-term program on the Dolomites. And now I'm here as a resident director and dean of the AIFS Global Education Center of Florence.
I love the trajectory, right? You said you started as a librarian, and then you were working is it Dolomites or Dolomites? How do you
Dolomites in English, Dolomiti in Italiano.
Dolomiti, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I love that. Perfect. So you've had lots of different roles within the organization. That's very cool. So your role as a resident director and a dean, right? So you're one of the few resident directors we have that is also the dean. What is it like having both of those roles?
Actually, it means taking care of the students as always, because we take the students from the airport to the study center, and we take care of everything about them. The dean part of my role, of my job, is it means that I'm really very much involved into academics. And this also thanks to my staff, because they help me a lot, especially 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦 and 𝗟𝗧𝗦, who have been with us for 20 years.
Nice.
And they help me to monitor all the academic part, which means, of course, selecting the faculty and helping them in creating syllabi and creating new courses also. Why not? And monitoring day by day what's going on in school. So if the students are okay in the classes, if the lessons are taken on properly, if there is a balance between the lessons, what they teach in class and what they do out of the classes, because this is extremely important for us. Students that come to Florence have to have the maximum from the city, not only from the classwork.
Right.
So what they do in class, in the majority of the cases, they actively do something out of the classes. So this means that part of the work is made in class, but big part also out of the class.
Excellent. Yeah, we love those two words, experiential learning, right? So it's not just the standard college course where you're taking a textbook and sitting and having just discussions. It's actually physically going to these sites, seeing the historical settings. What are some of those experiential learning experiences that a student might have in a class?
Easy to say regarding the art history classes and history classes, of course, because they talk about the Duomo or Santa Croce or the David, and they go and see the David. They cannot touch it, but they are there, so they can see the David.
Take a mental picture.
It's over there, yeah. And talking about the history of Florence and going on the Ponte Vecchio or in front of the Pitti Palace to keep talking about the history of the Medici. That's something that it's unbelievable. I mean, it can be done only here. But it's not only this. I mean, we have a track of the mafia, for example, in Florence, because unfortunately there was a terrorism attack a few years ago. So students who take the mafia class can go and see what happened, what really happened, and talk to the people that were there at that moment. And then for Italian classes, for example, we had some students, I have some pictures I have to send you, who a few days ago went in a square and described everything that was around them. And the teacher was there, and they explained to the people who were present, not only students, the things that they learned, everything in Italian. So it's, you said the correct thing. At school, study in class, and then go and apply what they have just learned.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you get to use your Italian, all the better. Is language a required class at the GEC, or can students opt out to take Italian?
We had Italian as a mandatory class in the past, but then we decided to offer as a regular course, as any other course, because we understood that it doesn't have to be mandatory, because students, they don't need to know Italian when they are in Italy. I strongly recommend to take it, because when you decide to know a culture, to live in a different country that is not yours, your experience has to pass from the language. But it's not mandatory at all. So I think that it's correct that only the students who transfer the credits for the language have to take that. So, and those who are not interested, or who unfortunately cannot transfer the credits, can take other courses.
I remember I took Italian when I lived in Italy, and I found it really helpful to go to class and learn how to conjugate the verbs and have those little conversational moments, but then also like come back to class on Monday and be like, this is what I really needed to know this weekend. How do I say, you know, when does the train arrive, or, you know, things like that. So it's always really helpful to have that class so you can go back and get that feedback too. What are some of the most popular courses? Because Florence, and this is a little different than our Global Education Center in Rome, like you said, we're heavy in the arts. I know they have like studio drawing and painting, and that's really unique to the program. So can you tell us a little bit about what are the most popular courses that stand out for you guys?
The drawing, painting, and sketchbook classes are now one of the most popular. Yeah. We have a wonderful art studio on the ground floor of this magnificent, wonderful palace, 16th century palace. And it's a big room where the students can relax, listen to music, and paint and draw. So that it's a wonderful opportunity to discover the city from another point of view, you know, because you actually see the city, but you go in depth in any single particular of the things that are in front of you. Because if you have to paint or draw something, you have to very well understand every single piece of that thing. And so students have the chance to analyze the masterpieces that are around Florence. We also have a very interesting street photography course. Fantastic, because the students, after obviously having get all the backgrounds of the general information about photography, practical but also historically speaking, they go around, they walk around in the city, and they have to catch the various things that are related to the single things that they have to put together for the classes, of course. Yeah, but it's wonderful. Also, that is one. Then we have food culture in Italy.
Yes, can't skip that
one. Of the most popular. Yes. And another practical thing that they do, it's wonderful, they do a sort of a diary. So everywhere they go, they have to take note of what they eat. to make comparisons, and to at the end to compile a sort of a paper with all the information they get when they travel. It's an opportunity to visit different places and understand the culture of the different places that they see. Because Italy is a small country, and it became a country. It's younger than US, so it's not so old. We have an ancient history, but as a nation, it's not so old. So wherever you go, you find different things. Not only related to art or to history, but also to culture, to food, wine. So if you go from north to the south, you can experience different worlds.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that the professor required the students to do. To compile a diary to compare the different situations.
I love that, because when they get home, they'll have all these journal logs, all these diary logs of all of the things that they ate, and maybe can try to emulate back when they've repatriated. Not to interrupt you, Simona, we're doing awesome. I just have to point out a few comments. Blair Holy said, best program. And we also had, we don't get a lot of parents that join these lives and interact with us, but this is very exciting because Andy Nardone, his son, is over in Florence, and he says, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. Our son Drew is having the time of his life in Florence. Thank you, AIFS, for admins, instructors, and the whole team. That made my day. Thank you, Mr. Nardone. That's awesome. And then Alyssa Pampina, ciao Simona, mi mancate tutti a frenzy, sepro che siate bene. And my accent's terrible, so sorry. You could have probably read that much better, but yes. That was one of your students, Alyssa?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. This program lives on beyond.
Yesterday, he had an experience with an Italian student who is now studying abroad in Denmark, and he and his roommate, his classmate, talked to her on Zoom. And they talk for more than an hour and a half about all the differences from Denmark to Italy to US regarding school, regarding food and whatever. And they had a very nice time together.
Yeah, perfect. You just brought us into our next topic. So one of the, I don't want to say concerns or reservations of students is, am I just going to be around AIFS participants and other American students day in, day out? They definitely want to embrace the culture, but the way that the Global Education Center is set up, you will have classes with mainly American students and our abroad participants. So can you tell us what the interaction is like with locals? Are there any activities you guys have or partnerships you have with different schools or programs that help students interact with students their age that might also be local Italian students?
This is one of the big differences with the other AIFS programs that are not global education centers, in the sense that we organize the classes and our classes are open only to our students. But what we do is to have a lot of internship students, a lot of opportunities the students can take. So we have Italian students coming here and American students going to do volunteer service learning and internships. And they meet students. They meet a lot of Italian students. We organize dinner with Italians and aperitivos, and we try to organize as much as possible with the community. Unfortunately, I want to underline this because this is something that we were not able to organize this semester. But, we just restarted after COVID.
We're just hitting the ground again, yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of associations and schools had to really care about what was happening inside their facilities and didn't want extra people to go. And we had to do that. And I have to be honest, it was even better for our students. Because for safety reasons, I prefer to keep them in a sort of
condensed,
and so together and not asking them to go and meet too many people.
Mm-hmm.
It's true that they probably missed a little bit this semester, but we have tried in any other way possible, organizing a lot of events and trips to travel around and visit places.
Yeah.
But in general, yes, in general, they have the chance to meet a lot of Italians.
Mm-hmm.
In any way possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And the faculty, you guys, the staff, they're all mainly international. So they're Italian, well, they're international to us. So, you know, it's not just an American staff abroad. It's all different cultural backgrounds.
We have no Americans.
No Americans.
No Americans at all.
Right.
Yeah. We have Mari, she comes from Norway, and Felicia and Teresa and I are from Italy. And then regarding faculty, I have one professor, the painting and drawing professor, who comes from Holland, from Netherlands. Yes, but the majority of them are Italians.
Yeah.
And this is really important because also France is from Holland, but we have been living in Florence for the past 30 years, I think. And it's important, and I strongly believe in this, because we have to give the students the local culture, and nobody else can do it.
Right, right.
So we welcome international students, but the students find the most typical Italian situation ever. In fact, when we had the orientation a few days ago, summer students, and we told them that they will be in Italy. So also regarding the culture that we have, how to stay in class, for example, they have to understand that there are some rules that they have to follow, which are probably a little bit different from the one that they have in the US, but it's like that. I think that if students want to come to Italy, to Florence, I don't know if they already know exactly, but in the deep of their heart, they want to try something different.
Yes.
They don't want to find the same things that they have at home.
Right.
And so we're obliged to give them our culture, our way of living. Yeah.
They will be, quote, baptized into Italian culture, no doubt. And one thing, I mean, we just, as an organization, we don't waver on safety. So whatever is safest for the faculty, the staff, and just, you know, collectively the people around the students within the limits of the city, we're going to follow by that and abide by that. You said something early when we were talking about academics, and I just want to make note of this. Guys, the AIFS Global Education Center is a historical site in itself. I believe you said it's a 16th century palace. So just let that sink in for a second, that you would be having class in a historical palace. I just had to make note of that again in case anyone had missed that.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Really, I have a wonderful window here facing the internal courtyard. Our library is so quiet.
Yes.
It's facing the internal courtyard. Can you imagine just studying in an environment like this?
No, it's like a romantic, educational, historical setting. It's one of the few cities we offer that kind of combines all of those elements. Excellent, really, really good stuff. In terms of things outside of the classroom, and we'll get into excursions in a little bit, but are there any volunteer opportunities or things that students have done in the past that they'll tie into their time in Florence that maybe serve the community or have them have that interaction with other locals?
Yes, of course. And in the past, as I've told you, that was my main job.
That was your job, yeah.
Volunteering, yes, and internship. Internship is a different story because it's a business situation. Right. I had in the past something like the third part of the group volunteering for diverse organizations. And so we understood the importance of this. And we organized a service learning program. So we're still offering from the fall semester the volunteer program which allows students to leave the community from the inside. So meet Italians, stay with Italians, and give back to the community. They just need to have 2 or 3 hours in a row, one day a week. So it's not so frustrating for them to give too much. And this is obviously only the joy to give and to receive a thank you from the community. On the other hand, we have also the service learning. And the service learning program includes a number of class meetings which accompany the student in the understanding of the meaning of service and learning. So give, and learn when you give. Learn about yourself, learn about the culture, then about what you have, what the culture that is surrounding you can give you. And they also have to volunteer about 8 hours per week. And with this course, they get 2 credits as any other content course. And we have seen in the past that it's quite interesting for the students. They love it because they combine, a work on themselves, class requirements, so credits at the end, and also the joy to give to the community. I have seen many students who change their life path, during this experience, because they can understand if there is something that they want to keep following in the future.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Or if it's just a wonderful experience, but it was just an experience, or if they want to continue to volunteer. So students who decided to do the medical school, for example, because they kept in love with the pharmacy where they volunteered, things like this. So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah, we talk about study abroad, and it's always about, the food and the culture and all the sites and the museums, and all of those things are an integral part of the program. But I think what really sets apart our organization and just the experience a student can have while they're abroad is to really get involved in the community. What are the causes that are important to a community? What are things that they're trying to affect change in? Look at our world right now and what's happening, right? And how is Italy going to be a part of what's happening with the refugee crisis? So it's really cool to see students come back, and when we interview them, share their experiences on, I had a great class, my housing was awesome, I loved my RD staff, but I also had this really life-changing experience that was provided to me by AIFS that's shifted my worldview, because that's what we want. We want to see them grow and change and evolve through these programs.
I think that we had, unfortunately, in this unfortunate situation, we did something special last week.
Nice.
We had a meeting with 2 Ukraine refugees, a girl almost the same age of our students, and a lady, an English teacher. And they came here and they told about their experience. It was shocking.
Yeah.
Honestly, it was heartbreaking and very eye-opening. And when they were here and they were telling their stories, I thought that it was probably too much, because the students were really shocked.
Right.
So I was like, oh my gosh, probably I didn't make the proper decision. After the meeting, the students started writing me. It was really incredible, because they were so happy to have this meeting with them, and they opened their heart. And now this student and her cousin are coming to all our classes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They're going with the students on the trips, on the events that we do, and they're coming on our last dinner, and they now are part of the community. And what I told to the students is that they are very blessed. They are very blessed. They are lucky because they are here, they're safe, and they have the opportunity to have this incredible, again, opportunity to be in Florence. But they have to understand that the world is also this. And they understood. And some of them decided to do sort of crowdfunding. So now they are also collecting money to give to the community. Yes.
Oh,
so that our job is always, ongoing.
Right.
Every day you have to catch whatever is in front of you, because it can make the difference not only in our life but also in the students' life. This is what I do.
Yeah.
This is what I'm here for, to understand what we have to do in this moment to these people in this way.
Right. Again, it's study abroad is not meant to be that bubble of just fun, but actually growth and learning and development, and you exposing that to the students. It's super important, because though it may not be their reality, it's the reality of where they live and the people that are, again, migrating to that country. So that's such a fantastic opportunity for the students.
Yeah.
Gave that to them. Excellent. So good. That's plenty of volunteering opportunities and interaction with, student to student beyond just the Italian culture too, which is really cool. It's all multicultural. Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about, I've heard wonderful things about the housing as well, but what does housing look like for students? Are they sharing bedrooms? I know we have apartments. Do we still offer homestays for Florence? What does that look like? What are the options?
Regarding homestays, same. We prefer not to offer the past semester, this semester, and also for fall. But then from 2023, we will reoffer them. Fingers crossed that COVID, will allow.
Again, we do everything in the name of safety for everyone. So
exactly. Our apartments, and students stay only in apartments or homestays, so no dorms at all. Apartments are spread in the city. Spread in the city means that they can be just around the corner or on the other side of the city. But the other side of the city in Florence means 20 minutes walking distance.
Yeah, it's fairly walkable.
No more than that.
Right.
So no need to take public transportation, and no need to get lost. Although I hope that they get lost because they discover new places.
It's a good place to get lost, that's for sure.
But yes, actually everything is really easy in Florence. I think that this is one of our strengths, because wherever you want to go, 15 minutes you're there.
Yes.
We are so centrally located that if you just do a round around the study center, you cover almost everything that we offer in Florence.
Yes.
So from restaurants to museums to housing and so on. Now, all the apartments are selected one by one by Mari, housing angel, and she selects not only the shape of the apartment and the standard, let's say, of the apartments, but also the landlords. What does it mean? Yeah, because we want the landlords to be available for the students in case the students need. This is an important thing, because you can rent apartments wherever in the city,
sure,
and it's really easy. But they have to be, driving in a specific way. So, for example, if something breaks, we need the landlord to go within 24 hours and fix the problem. So we absolutely want to give this extra, let's say, to the students.
And so we rent specific apartments where we have those relationships with the landlord, so you can communicate with them easily. Students have the assurance that if something breaks, they'll fix it, the works, which is really a nice relief to have walking into housing.
For students and for us too, because we are sure that everything is fixed in the proper way. Regarding the apartments, the majority of the apartments have just double rooms. Some of them have also a single room, but just a few of them. The maximum is 2 rooms, so 4 students with 1 bathroom. Usually we have 2 students, 1 bathroom. So
Okay.
every room have a bathroom. Yeah. They have a living room to share, or a kitchen, or a common space, let's say, to share. There is a washing machine. There are no dryers.
Pretty culturally in line with Italy in general. That's why you always see the string of laundry in all the movies and the clothesline. It's accurate.
It's not so common to have dryers at home.
Right.
Common at all. Yeah. So, no, in some cases we have air conditioning.
Okay.
We are struggling with air conditioning because it's a big problem for Florence.
Right.
You know, we do not have air conditioning here
in the
building.
Okay.
Now we have to buy this, you know,
extra,
exactly, because there is no way to have the big ones, because you cannot put anything out of the window.
It's the integrity of the building too. It wasn't really built with that kind of capacity in mind. We've seen some Instagram takeovers from some of our students in Florence, most notably one of our students, Meredith, who's there now, did a takeover a couple weeks ago. And I would say, from my experience living in Italy, that housing is actually pretty big. There's a lot of space in those apartments. So even when you're sharing a room, I know that always feels daunting to students, like, oh, I don't want to share a room with somebody I don't know. These are pretty spacious rooms. We also do all of the work to make sure that you're with a roommate that you'll be comfortable with and match like with like. And also, if you're doing study abroad full throttle, you're probably not spending too much time in your dorm. You know, you're out in the city, you're doing the weekend excursions, you're interacting with locals.
Absolutely.
You're interacting with Simona and the staff. So the time you spend in your housing is pretty pale in comparison to that of
very little
outside.
Yeah, very little. Even if they do not, when they arrive, they do not know each other, it's not a big problem. Absolutely. We organize, you know, the matching of the people. So we decide on the basis of the requests of the students, of course, but the student does not know anybody, it's not a problem. We match them with other students, and we try to put them in a situation where nobody knows each other, so they make new friends. Sometimes it happens that the students do not get along, but it's sort of the adjustment.
And you can always move that around as needed. Is that fun for you? You get to kind of play matchmaker in a way, but with roommates.
It's not fun at all.
Not fun.
It's not. It's quite a big job. It's quite a big job. Yeah, because we try to avoid any sort of problem.
Conflict.
So we try to think about all the possible problems that may happen if there is a wrong matching. But then, as said before, it's part of the adjustment. We always tell the students, if they do not get along, it's okay. We do not have to get along always with the people that we meet. Better with a roommate for 3 months than with your boss when you work.
I was going to say, that's life, right? You might.
Yeah, that's life. If you start understanding.
Right. You don't always get to pick the person who sits next to you at a meeting or in class. Like, that's even on public transportation. You never know who you're going to meet. So you have to learn how to navigate all sorts of personalities, and study abroad is a really great way to dip that foot in the water and get used to that. That's so
try to do things that maybe later on, when you have a job, when you're in a working environment, it could be hard to try.
Yeah.
Here you can.
You can try it, and it'll be scenic and lovely along the way. During orientation, we kind of skipped that, but there is a mandatory orientation when students arrive. What do you cover within that orientation period? How long is it? Are there excursions looped into the orientation? What are some of the activities you guys do? Safety talks, walk around the city. Tell us a little bit about what that period of time looks like.
So we have 2 orientations before departure, academic and housing, and then the practical one to give all the information regarding what to pack, what to bring, anything else. Safety in the sense of COVID and so on. Then once in Florence, we have one morning orientation, and we cover safety, of course, and then again we recap of all the things that have been said during the two online orientations. And then we have a few guests. We have a psychologist, a counselor psychologist, someone from the police department, and a consul, someone from the consulate. Yeah, and also one of our teachers, a sociology teacher, who give a frame to the place where they're going to stay for a few months. And so he talks about a little bit of history, a little bit of our habits, a little bit of the culture, the different culture about how females are seen in Italy, or how males are seen, and so on. And, they cover also, of course, the part regarding diversities and inclusion. So yeah, and then after this, students, because we do this in an hotel, because students are private in an hotel, we do this in the meeting room of the hotel. Then they go home, and then we meet again to have an art history tour and a practical. In this way, they walk around in the city and cover the practical things, so where they can find the supermarket and the bookstore and the various restaurants that are on our meal plan. We'll talk later, I imagine. Yeah, and yeah, we give them an overview of this.
Yeah, I had a student say she had studied abroad in, I believe, Rome, and we were talking about this, and she said, Florence is really easy to navigate. It's in size, it's just so much smaller, and everything is in blocks, and it's hard to get lost there. She said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but Florence might have been built in a week, was her joke, because it was so different one from the other. I think Florence probably took far more time to establish. Yeah, and it's really nice to have somebody come in, like you said, you have a police officer talk about safety. You have these people with credentials who are experts in the field that are really providing insight to the students of what they could experience and what to expect.
Yes. All of them are professionals, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. During the orientation, I'll say this, from the orientation to like towards the end of the program, or even before the end of the program, and we get this answer, and it's a little different for every student, but how long on average do you see a student transition from, oh my God, this is new, I'm in culture shock, I'm like overwhelmed, to just like, oh, this is my routine and this is my home? And like, what's that turnaround time look like for most students in Florence?
That's difficult to say because it's case by case, it depends on the students. Sometimes the students never feel this until they go back home. So yeah, it really depends on the students' feelings, sensitivity, and it's difficult to say. But all of them, you know, have a sort of routine. So they are excited. Then after this moment of excitement, they get lost. Yeah, because it's like that. Then at that moment, when they decide that they have to go back home, it's the moment in which they start loving Florence.
Right. It's my home. I don't want to leave. Yeah.
Absolutely. But the timing is really difficult to say because it depends on them. It depends on how they want to immerse themselves in the class. How much?
You get out of it what you put into it, 100%. Would you say most of them leave and you feel as a resident director and a dean that they've transitioned in like their independence and really have changed and grown in that way for the most part?
Everyone. I've never seen a student leaving Florence without a big impact on their life. could be also negative, in the sense that some of them would like the idea to love to go back home,
Right.
because they need to go back home.
Right.
But Florence will remain in their heart forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yeah, yeah. I have many stories to say, because we have students who came back with their husband or wife, kids. Yeah. Others, I remember a student, she's one of my friends now, and she was supposed to leave, but there was a problem with the flight. And so AIFS rebooked a flight at the last moment. The easy way to rebook her flight was to give her a round-trip flight instead of just one way, you know? I said, oh, that's funny. Yes, I have an open ticket. I don't know. I will be back sooner or later. And after a week, she was back. I said, why? What happened?
That much? Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
I cannot stay far away from Florence. So after a week, she was very cute.
That's probably so rewarding for you to see the families and the couples and everybody it's full circle. Like it's stayed with them throughout every stage of life to the point where they want to share this with other people.
When I started, I felt like I was their sister.
A sister.
Elder sister.
A mentor.
Now I'm more than a mom. I'm on the way to be a grandma.
Well, that's the way we always describe our resident directors and our AIFS staff, is they're there to be a source of guidance, but also want to see you find your independence, and will help you do that. You just have to be open to it. You know, well, we're there to hold your hand, but we're also there to give you a little pat on the back and say you're more capable of doing the thing that you want to do.
We accompany them. When we were talking about apartments before, and when students have a problem in the apartment, we do not solve the problem.
Right.
We want to meet them together, and we want them to talk in front of us to understand where the problem is, how they can cope with the problem, how they can live together, even if, as said before, they do not get along. And in the end, I mean, in the majority of the cases, we solved it, like, you know,
have an aperitivo and everything will be better.
We solve the problem in front of us, so we guide them, but they find a way. Yeah, they are older. They're not kids; they're older, actually. So and when they'll be back, their parents will understand that they are even more adults.
They're young adults. They are there. We don't send any minors abroad, so it's all mostly young adults. We don't discriminate against age as long as a student is enrolled at a U.S. college or university.
Yeah.
Cultural activities and excursions. We've talked a little bit about these, but AIFS, we do include a few excursions in our semester term program. So you can tell us what those are. Do you have a favorite? Is there a favorite among the students? Travel with us outside of Florence for a minute. Where are we going?
We're living in Italy. We focus on Italy. We do not offer trips out of Italy because we strongly believe that they have to understand everything of our country.
There's plenty of regions in Italy that will...
So many.
You don't need to leave Italy.
No. So all the activities are included. In some cases, we ask the students to pay a small fee, but it's more because we want them to sign up for the activity and come. Sometimes we ask a deposit, and we return the deposit only if they attend the trip. And they miss the deposit if they skip it. So it's really something like 10 euros or a meal ticket if we offer a lunch or a dinner. But where we go? We go for 2 days in Venice, for 3 days in Rome, for 1 day in Siena, and then we have Pisa, Lucca, the Five Lands, the Cinque Terre, and these are offered every semester.
I'm having a lot of envy right now, but yes, all fantastic.
Then, according to the courses, because we have a lot of course-related field trips that are open, obviously, also to the other students.
Right.
We go to see the Ferrari in Maranello and the vinegar in Modena,
Yep.
and the Parmigiano Reggiano in Parma. And then, and then we had a group of students who just went to Milan the past weekend. It was for marketing of fashion. And then we have, we go on the beach, we go on the mountains, we go on the Garda Lake. We really have a lot of activities.
Cover the whole country.
In the Chianti, area. And then now for the summer, we have the very special wine marketing.
That's a popular one.
And we do 4 days in the Barolo area, close to Turin in Piedmont. And they discovered that area for wine marketing. And then we move to Florence and they go to the Chianti area. And they do a lot of field trips also there. And then we visit just around Florence, in the surrounding of Florence, so 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦, which is a hill here. It's a beautiful and ancient town with an incredible view on Florence. And then for the class of the Medici villas, we visit all the villas that are around Florence in the countryside. So yeah, many places. And then
you'll get your fill. Again, you do not need to leave Italy for this program. You can, students can travel on their own accord during the weekends, but I'm sure even beyond the list you just gave us, you probably have even more recommendations for students to meet whatever interest they might have, whether that's fashion or they want something more outdoorsy or they want to be near a beach or whatever that might look like for them. You can find
the other very important thing for students who want to travel out of Italy is that Florence, I think it's the only one in Europe who has an airport 20 minutes from the city center, which is reachable with, by tram. With 150 euros.
150 euros is like $3 American, a little bit over that right now.
No, maybe two. Maybe two. Yeah,
that's a steal for the trip.
Which is nothing. Usually when you have to go to the airport, you spend a lot of money, you know, with public
in America, it would cost you more to take an Uber or what have you. So yeah, that's definitely.
Here with 150, you go to the airport. And this airport is an international airport, so it connects you forever.
That's excellent. We do have a question, Anicia. When can we apply for AIFS scholarships grants for the spring 2023 semester exchange? You can actually, once you apply for a 2023 spring program, you'll have a portal with all of your enrollment tasks. And one of your enrollment tasks will be to fill out any scholarship or grant applications that you want. So you do have to apply to the program first to be considered for scholarships, but once those enrollment tasks are open, you can apply to as many of those as we offer. I did leave meal plan for the end. Always save the best for last. And we'll do a little speed round. We've got some time, so we will talk more about food and whatnot. But our meal plan for Rome is very unique. As for Florence, we do like a voucher system of sorts. So if you can explain to students what that looks like in depth, and these are not, you guys don't do chains, like no chain restaurants in these vouchers are offered. So yeah, tell us a little bit about some of the restaurants you guys choose, how the vouchers work, all of those pieces and parts.
So only one word, it's amazing. Amazing. Why I'm telling you this? Because I'm in love with food and wine.
Likewise.
So apart from the academics that I really care, because it's the fundamental of this.
You can put food into academics. It's part of the culture.
Exactly. You know, it's more or less the same.
Yes.
No. And in our meal plan, we have restaurants and coffee shops and bars where we would like to go.
Right.
Only those.
Yes.
So the selection is made on this basis.
Staff approved, local approved.
Exactly.
Yes.
We test them before and we say, okay, students can go there, students cannot go there. Now, it's extremely important because it's part of the culture. It's part of the experience that we want to keep.
Yes.
And it's, it's absorbed in our culture, the food.
Right.
So it has to be a quality food and it has to be a quality place for people. So typical trattorias, osteria, pizzeria, and small restaurants, big restaurants, but really places where you like to go. It's not because you have to eat, but because you want to spend your time there.
Right.
What we tell the students is that nobody in this restaurant will bring you the bill because nobody wants you to go away.
No,
so
it's
take your time.
That's your time to socialize. It's your time to, like, the way, I wish all cultures could be like this, but the way that Italians eat food and like reserve that time for just beyond just the meal and consumption of food is just, it's so beautiful. Like you don't rush it. You're enjoying it. It's your social time. It's such a staple. I could go on for days, but that's what I miss the most about Italy is just that special
we do
time.
not feed our body,
Right.
but feed our, our spirit.
Nourish.
Yeah, nourish. Yeah.
Both,
and
the body and the mind.
So we have to enjoy that. And yes, we made agreements with a number of restaurants and places where they can spend their vouchers. And we give them vouchers for breakfast and dinner. Now, not only, we also give them vouchers for the supermarket.
Yes.
Now, we call it breakfast and dinner in the sense that they have to understand that it's a sort of half-board situation. But then they can spend breakfast and dinner for lunch, for example. Or what we suggest is, okay, buy at the supermarket whatever you need for breakfast. Have your breakfast at home. Use the breakfast voucher for lunch. And use your dinner for dinner. At that point, you're covered.
Don't give up your dinner. Do not give up your dinner voucher because that's the most important and extravagant meal of the day, for sure. And kind of what you said earlier about you don't want to take public transportation to get from your housing to campus. For me, that was always part of living in the city was just I would get my coffee from my few like little hole in the wall coffee shops on my way to class. And that was one of my favorite parts of the day because you're practicing your Italian early on. And there's nothing like an Americano before class. So yeah, that you don't want to skip that meal either, but it's part of like the wake up, get to class, get in your routine. And for our program in Florence for fall and spring, you can opt out of the meal plan. We don't require students to purchase or that. We have two separate inclusive costs, one with the meal plan, one without. My recommendation would be, and I'm sure Simona would agree because she is the taste tester, that you don't want to opt out of that meal plan. And most of our students will find that amount is accommodating to what
absolutely. And in the past, we had students who decided not to have it, and once here, they decided to. Yeah, they change their mind. Yeah.
Can they adjust if they want to change their mind? Is that something we make available to them? Okay.
Of course they can. Yeah, they are more than welcome to join the meal plan. We encourage them every day. So when they want, they just tell us, and yes, happy to give them.
Excellent. We're going to close out soon. We're going to do something called our lightning round. Basically, I'm going to give you a word, and then you just say the first word that comes to mind in relation to Florence, the program, whatever you feel. If you end up saying more than one word, it's valid, especially for the first category. The first category is food. So what comes to mind? I know, everything comes to mind.
Bistecca alla Fiorentina, the Florentine steak.
And that's your favorite food?
Yeah, that's the typical from Florence.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. I've had, it's fantastic. And you'll be able to find that on a menu for some of these trattorias that you have the vouchers for, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to skip that. Perfect. Transportation, what comes to mind, if at all, if anything?
In Florence, no more than a bicycle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really pedestrian city, and
Pedestrian city.
No matter where you are, you have a scenic walk. So
no, it's easier to walk than take a public transportation. Yeah. I mean, because obviously the city center is so small that all the public transportation just
goes right through. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So if you have to go from one side to the other, it's better to cross walking than going around. Yeah.
And you will. I feel you adjust more to your city of study if you are walking. Like you get to observe on foot the things that you see, the landmarks you pass on the way to class. You just become a little bit more like in tune with your city faster by not taking public transportation.
I'm used to say that I'm extremely lucky because I come by train because I live outside the city center. And every morning I walk from the train station to the office, to the study center, which is 15 minutes. And I pass from 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦, which is the most important street, most elegant, with all the wonderful windows, Chanel, Armani, Versace.
Shopping.
Then I pass the Ponte San Caterina, looking at the Ponte Vecchio with the sun rising up over there, and then I arrive at school. So nothing is most wonderful.
You just painted a portrait, like a postcard, you know? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, wonderful.
One word to describe locals.
Locals?
This might be hard because you technically are a local, so.
Yeah, but locals have a problem. Because they us welcome so much American students.
Yes.
They do not let them speak Italian. Every time.
Oh, that is true. Yes.
Every time there's the student, posso avere un cappuccino? Oh yes, of course, you can speak English with me.
Oh yeah, and it's okay.
I
want to practice. That's why those excursions are so important, because you're taking students to maybe less touristy areas where they're actually really gonna have to try to order their food or their beverage or whatever, ask for directions in Italian. I have said this before. I said this to Rosanna and I stand by it. If somebody mistakes you for a local, that is like the highest of compliments you can possibly get. Like, you look the part, you look like you know where you're going, what's going on. You know, if they don't suspect that you're a student, more power to you. You know, you've blended and you've emerged for sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So locals, I'm hearing they're extremely friendly, so friendly that they want to meet you more than halfway with the language.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what about the word language? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Language it's not easy. It's not an easy language, but it has a very nice sound.
Yeah, a nice cadence, very romantic.
It's very romantic, yeah.
I love that. Landmarks. What's the first landmark that comes to mind?
Yeah, there are so many, but probably the Piazza di Michelangelo. From there, you have Florence in front of you.
I would say the Duomo. Yeah, that was the most memorable.
But for the Duomo, you look like this.
Yes.
When you are at the Piazza di Michelangelo, you have Florence over there.
Yes, that's a good point. Excellent. Architecture.
Florence is Renaissance.
If you're looking for more Baroque, you'll have to go to Rome for that period, but Renaissance definitely.
Yeah.
And then final question before we go, Simona. You are constantly teaching our students and all of our participants all about your culture and what Florence brings to the table and all the things you love about Florence. What is something that you have learned from from the students over the years? What's the most valuable lesson, or maybe they introduced you to an artist, I don't know, whatever it is.
No, the importance of being young, in the sense that although the age do, and does her course, but you have to continuously be smart, because you have to continuously give them what they need. So this makes me feel younger, and makes me have the honor to give them every day what I found around, everything that is updated for them, not only ancient things, not only the history of Florence, but also the day-by-day culture.
Yeah, so remain curious, no matter what stage of life you're in. That's
open their mind and open my mind, because world is changing very fastly, and we have to be on the spot for them, because we want to accompany them out of the comfort zone, to realize that they can find their comfort zone everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that was beautiful. Beautifully said. Well, Simona, thank you so much for being with us. Guys, we still have applications open for Florence until May 1st, I believe. So if you are planning to study abroad May 10th. But if you want to get it in by the 1st, that's great. So yeah, we have lots of spots open for Florence. So definitely keep chugging away at your application. Simona, any other closing words that you want to share with us today before we say ciao?
Before we say ciao, I would say that I would love to have as much as students as possible to this wonderful city, because we have to restart, not only the movement that is in the city, because Florence really missed the American students a lot during the pandemic.
Florence and the Florence staff too.
And the Florence staff. Yes, it was when I saw the first students arriving at the end of the year, it was like, oh my God!
Trying to be professional, but also just really emotional to see students again. That's so fantastic. Yeah, we are starting to come back into our own with all these programs. Everything looks different everywhere now, so we have to kind of carry a higher level of vigilance with safety and health and everything across the board, but it definitely makes me appreciate travel far more, and I think students will find the same. So thank you for all that you do, and our students obviously love you. I don't know if you were able to see these comments come in and all the hearts and everything, but we didn't miss any comments. But if anybody has a question for Simona, feel free to send us a DM. We will get you in touch with her, an email. You can phone call us. We are more than happy to connect you guys if you have any questions for her. Grazie mille, Simona. Thank you so much for being with us.
Grazie a voi. Grazie. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
Buonasera. Ciao.
Buonasera.